morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching JanataTelevision and this is the English Bulletin with me, Sushant Hakal. The top stories first. Coronavirus infects more than 20,000 in Nepal. Prohibitory order issued in Bara after spike in cases. Health experts warn of exponential rise in coronavirus in the country, lash out at government for poor measures against the disease. Health Ministry to intensify tests in border areas, people coming from India to undergo mandatory tests. WHO reports record increase in global coronavirus cases, daily infection up to 292,000. And Arsenal lift the English FA Cup for a record 14th time, defeat Chelsea 2-1 in the finals. And now the news in detail. The number of people infected with coronavirus has reached 20,000 in Nepal. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, 315 new cases of coronavirus were reported yesterday, taking the tally to 20,086 so far. 14,492 persons have recovered from the disease and returned home. The number of active cases of coronavirus in the country is 5,338. Meanwhile, 11,533 persons are being kept in quarantine facilities across the country. The death toll from coronavirus in the country has reached 56. A few foreign nationals are also among the deceased. Meanwhile, the total number of Nepalese nationals who have died of coronavirus has reached 161 according to NRN. According to Dr. Sanjeev Sapkota, head of NRN Health Committee, a total of 6,781 Nepalese have been affected by the coronavirus pandemic worldwide. Government authorities have issued prohibitory order in Bara effective from today. The District Administration Office, Bara, issued the order due to the risk of coronavirus in the district. The prohibitory order will remain in effect from 5 a.m. today until further notice. Issuing a statement, the District Administration Office urged people not to organize mass gatherings and to remain at their houses unless there is any urgent work to visit outside. The prohibitory order has been issued considering the risk of coronavirus due to overcrowding in areas such as Kalaiya, Jitpur, Simara, Pathlaiya, Parwanipur, Nijgarh and Simrangarh along the Pathlaiya Birganj corridor, as well as local units along the postal highway. Meanwhile, the local government has banned all private and public vehicles except those providing essential services. Likewise, cross-border movement has also been halted by the district administration. Health experts have warned the coronavirus infection will take the form of epidemic in the country if the government fails to take precautionary measures to control the disease. Looking at the measures taken by the government at present, health experts and doctors warned that there will be an exponential rise in infection within a few weeks. Speaking at a function organized in the capital yesterday, Dr. Sundarmani Dikshit said coronavirus has not taken the form of epidemic in Nepal yet, but it is likely to spread quickly due to community-level transmission. He said that the government should have increased the number of PCR tests, but has instead reduced the number. The situation can turn dangerous in Nepal due to community transmission, he warned.
व्यवस्थित भएन झन पीसीआर टेस्टिङ चाहिँ नि झन यिनीहरूले घटाउँदै लगे जब बढाउन पर्ने थियो। पीसीआर टेस्टिङ भनेकै एउटै उपाय थियो हामीले संक्रमण कति जानलाई छ भन्ने कुरा। किन चाहियो भने त्यसको आधारमा कति रोगी हुन्छ भने हामीलाई थाहा हुन्छ।
Former Chief of the Epidemiology and Disease Control Division, Dr. Baburan Baburam Marasini stressed on the need to adopt strict measures to restrict the movement of people from infected areas to other locations. He urged the government to increase the number of tests in Kathmandu Valley as well as border areas.
अब अहिले टेस्ट चाहिँ सबैभन्दा बढी बढाउनु पर्ने चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ त काठमाडौँ उपत्यका छँदैछ। अर्को विराटनगरदेखि लिएर यो चाहिँ वीरगन्जसम्मको एरियामा चाहिँ एकदमै हामीले चाहिँ ध्यान दिएर बढीभन्दा बढी मान्छेहरू चाहिँ त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ यो स्याम्पलहरू जम्मा गरेर अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ तिनीहरूलाई चाहिँ को सङ्क्रमित छन् छैनन् भनेर.
Similarly, specialist at the Sukraraj Tropical and Infectious Disease Hospital, Dr. Anu Bastola, warned that the situation in the capital will be out of control within a few weeks if the government does not give proper attention to the flow of people into the valley. He said that the disease has been spreading at community level because people coming from high-risk areas have not remained in quarantine facilities.
जाडोमा यसले भयावह रूप लिन सक्ने सम्भावना आउँछ र व्यवस्थित हुनुको अरू विकल्प मैले केही पनि देख्दिनँ. हामी सुरक्षित हुने हो, हाम्रो परिवारका सदस्यहरूलाई सुरक्षित बनाउने हो भने हामीले आफ्नो नैतिक जिम्मेवारी चाहिँ अपनाउनु जरुरी छ.
The movement of people has intensified. The government lifted the lockdown more than a week ago. This has increased the spread of infection at community level. On the other hand, the government has not been conducting adequate tests. This has led to speculations that the number of infection might be much more than the official data. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back after the break. We continue with other national news. The Health Ministry has directed for sample collection for coronavirus test for anyone entering Nepal through the land route. The ministry has urged the concerned authorities to not allow people entering through border checkpoints with India without COVID-19 tests. After the news surfaced about the disregard for physical distancing by people everywhere, the ministry has especially urged the government employees working in Singhadabar, security forces and health workers to follow social distancing regulations. The ministry has urged everyone to wear masks at all times, maintain physical distancing and not congregate in numbers larger than 25. Although the prison cells, rehabilitation center and detention cells are overcrowded, special precaution has to be taken to help stop the spread of coronavirus infection, spokesperson at Health Ministry Dr. Jageshwar Gautam informed. On the occasion of completion of 65 years of diplomatic relationship between Nepal and China, the presidents of the two nations have exchanged greetings. President Bidya Devi Bhandari reiterated the cordial relationship between the two nations, labeling the relationship as being smooth and friendly throughout history. In the president's message, she has mentioned the importance of the recent diplomatic visits between the two nations, calling the relationship a cornerstone in building a long-standing friendship between the two nations. She further added the importance of China's help in Nepal's recovery during the current crisis of the global pandemic. Chinese President Xi Jinping, in his message, said he has always given special priority in developing the relationship between the two nations. Xinhua, the Chinese news agency, reported that President Xi has committed to developing and improving the current relationship between the two nations during this tenure. In his greeting, President Xi also added he will continue to maintain the diplomatic channel between the two countries while expressing that China will continue to support Nepal in its development as well. And now the news from the economic front. The Nepal Oil Corporation has informed that it has been bearing loss for the past 15 days on diesel and petrol. The NOC said it has been losing Rs 3 per litre in diesel and Rs 1 per litre in petrol for the past 15 days. The increase of the price of crude oil in the international market has forced NOC to bear the loss, as NOC only changes its prices every 15 days. The NOC has increased the price of petrol by ₹2, while the price of diesel has been increased by 1.5 to reach 104 and 89 rupees 50 paisa respectively. The corporation has been making good profits in kerosene, LPG and aviation fuel. There is also a major difference in fuel prices around the border. The price of petrol and diesel in Roxol is rupees 133.58 and rupees 124.47. However, in Birganj it is rupees 100.5 and rupees 86.5. Time for a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international news. Welcome back, and now the international news. The World Health Organization reported a record increase in global coronavirus cases this weekend, with the total rising by 292,527. The biggest increases were from United States, Brazil, India and South Africa, according to daily report prepared by Reuters. According to the news agency, deaths rose by 6,812. The four countries have dominated global headlines with large outbreaks. The previous WHO record for new cases was 284,196 on July 24th. Deaths rose by 9,753 on July 24, the second largest one-day increase ever. Deaths have been averaging at 5,200 a day in July, up from an average of 4,600 a day in June. Nearly 40 countries have reported record single-day increases in coronavirus infections over the last week, according to a Reuters tally. Cases have been on the rise also in Australia, Japan, Hong Kong, Bolivia, Sudan, Ethiopia, Bulgaria, Belgium, Uzbekistan and Israel, among others. Globally, there are over 17.4 million infections and nearly 675,000 deaths. Afghanistan accused Pakistan of killing 15 civilians during clashes at a border crossing where crowds were jostling to cross for the Muslim festival of Eid al-Adha. On Pakistan's side, hospital officials reported 7 deaths from the flare-up between the Asian neighbors, who are US allies but often trade accusations of backing militants, Reuters reported. According to the news agency, the governor of Afghanistan's southeastern Kandahar province, Hayatullah Hayat, said shells fell on the homes in the border town of Spin Boldak. The governor said women and children were among the 15 dead and 80 hurt during the clashes between both nations' security forces. In Pakistan, medics said 7 people had died and 31 were brought in with bullet wounds. The violence flared when crowds waiting to cross into Afghanistan became unruly and attacked Pakistani installations, said a senior official in the Pakistani border town Chaman. You are watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. Arsenal came from behind to beat Chelsea to win the FA Cup for a record 14th time. Arsenal talisman Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was the Gunners' saviour yet again, as he scored a double for 2 games in a row. Earlier, Chelsea had taken the lead inside 5 minutes through Christian Pulisic's smart finish. The Blues did most of the early running as they dominated the first period of the first half. However, after the drinks break, Aubameyang took the penalty he won as Chelsea captain Cesar Azpilicueta fouled him inside the box. He then produced a moment of world-class finishing in the 67th minute to make the defining contribution to the first behind-the-closed-doors FA Cup final. Chelsea were hampered by a first-half injury to Azpilicueta and were struggling even further when they lost the outstanding Pulisic to a hamstring problem after the break. Chelsea's agony increased further when Mateo Kovacic was harshly sent off for a second yellow card in the 73rd minute. Arsenal closed out the win to secure a place in the Europa League season, but it was a bitter disappointment for Chelsea's manager Frank Lampard at the conclusion of his first campaign in charge. The Italian Serie A concluded with Juventus eventually finishing as champions by a solitary point. Juventus, who lost their final game of the season yesterday against Roma, finished the season on 83 points, one above Inter at 82. Inter Milan defeated Atalanta by 2-0 in the final game of the season as Danilo D'Ambrosio and Ashley Young scored for the Italian club. Ciro Immobile finished the season on 36 goals, equaling Gonzalo Higuain's long-standing record of the most goals scored by a single player in all of Europe's top 5 leagues. He scored the only goal of the game for Lazio as they were defeated 3-1 by Napoli. Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored in a 3-0 win by AC Milan over Cagliari, becoming the first player at 30 years to score 10 goals or more in the Serie A. Milan finished the season on 6th place. Italian Serie A concluded with Juventus as champions and Inter Milan, Atalanta and Lazio completing the top 4 places. Lecce, Brescia and Spal were the 3 teams to suffer relegations. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin and the headlines once again. Coronavirus infects more than 20,000 in Nepal. Prohibitory order issued in Bara after spike in cases. Health experts warn of exponential rise in coronavirus in the country, lash out at government for poor measures against the disease. Health Ministry to intensify tests in border areas, people coming from India to undergo mandatory tests. WHO reports record increase in global coronavirus cases, daily infection up to 292,000. And Arsenal lift the English FA Cup for a record 14th time, defeats Chelsea 2-1 in the finals. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website, janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.